We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Tom Haley is running a few minutes late. Hold on, let's see, continue. Okay. All right. I'm calling the meeting of January 14th, 2021 of the Tiverton Budget Committee to order. And it is 5:32 p.m. And I have a flag, so we can stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Sorry if I'm messed up, but roll call. Dan Darren. Is he on yet? Oh, not yet.
He's not here yet.
John Edwards.
Present.
Thor Ockery. Thor Ockery. Are you muted? Okay, present. Cynthia Isherwood. I don't think she's on yet either, is she?
No.
Uh-oh. They might, hopefully they're not having problems. Dave Perry.
Yeah.
Judy Jones.
She's
Judy,
muted.
yeah, I see her. All right. Tom Haley, not here yet. Joe Souza.
Present.
Mike Janik.
Present.
Joe Schramm.
Present.
Looks like Dan Darren just hopped in.
I see that. Okay, let me see. I'm going to check real quick if it's okay with you to make sure Judy's not, that Cynthia is not having any problem getting on, because she's new and not used to this either.
It did
Judy,
make it having the link right there with the email.
Yeah. You know what, Judy, I don't have Cynthia's cell phone number. Do you have the ability to get a hold of her?
Yep. I'll call her.
Can you call her and see if she's having any trouble? Okay. So do we want to do some introductions or wait a minute, Joan? What do you think? Give them a minute and see if they're having problems.
She might be, because I think she thought it was the same. Hi, can you get on? Well, you got the wrong code. Okay, the code is 8. It's 2 different codes. Eight 7 5 0385 7096. And the password is 991821. Or you're gonna put Cindy. Just put Cindy in. All right.
Who's missing besides Cindy?
Tom Haley,
Okay.
he's running late. He's traveling to New York, but he's trying to
Okay.
get on as quickly as possible. So we'll give her a minute, and then if Tom doesn't get on, then we'll go ahead and do introductions, I guess.
All this screen time stuff is just not forgiving. Dan Darren here. Good day.
He's on.
So, well, now I'll at least, so Dan Darren is present now at 5:36. And Cynthia Isherwood present also 5:36. Okay, if we want, I mean, to go ahead and start introductions, and then Tom can catch up when he gets in. Let's see. Did you want to start, John?
I guess I'm at the top left corner of your screen. So, hi,
Yeah.
everyone. John Edwards. I think I know most of you from around town. If we haven't met, pleasure to make your acquaintance. I look forward to working together with everybody here, putting together the best budget that we can possibly put together, especially in light of all the extenuating financial circumstances that the town faces. So, look forward to working with everybody.
Thor Ackery. I don't know.
Unmute on the bottom left. Oh, I
He's
lost.
unmuted. I'm not sure what's going on.
His microphone might be off.
I'll work on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, he can hear us, I guess, but he can't talk. Well, I'll tell you that's Thor Ackery is my husband. And I think he's looking forward to working with everybody too. And hopefully he can get his microphone working. Not sure what's going on. And let's see, Mike Janik.
Hi. If you'd watched the town council meeting where they appointed us, you already know that my wife is on there and has been a member of the budget committee for a number of years. And I'm looking to help the town. That's basically what I'd like to do. I've got some background in finances. I'm sure most of you do as well. And I would like to help us move forward and try and squeeze as much as we can out of what money we're going to have this year.
Dave Perry.
Okay, I think most of you might know who I am. I've been around a long time, on the budget committee before for 12 years. I'm looking forward to working with everyone this year, and I would just hope that we all keep in mind that we're doing this for the people of the town, not even in Rhode Island, but for the people of the town. So let's remember that when we're doing this budget. Thank you.
Joe Souza.
Yeah, well, I think I pretty much know everybody here except for one of the new members, Dan. But I'll just say I'm the same pain. I'll be the same pain in the ass I was last year, and carry on.
Okay, Judy.
Hi, Judy Jones from Tiverton. I'm looking forward to working with everybody, and hopefully we can save the taxpayers, try to get the taxpayers some benefits, or try to save them a few bucks.
Dan Darren.
Hi, good day. Good evening, everybody. As far as budget, we've been in town since 2015. We used to live in Ipswich, Massachusetts, where it takes at least a lifetime to become a townie. So, but I feel like one already. I'd like to say budget committee wise that I have the first dollar I've ever made, but that's absolutely not the case. And I'm here to do the people's business, and nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you
Can you
too.
hear me yet?
Oh, yeah, can hear you. Okay.
So you said
Thor
it,
Opera, you want to go now?
sure. Sherry said it all for me. I'm eager to do some work. Look forward to working with everybody and trying to balance all of our needs with all of the people's interests, and obviously in the hard times that we're facing. That's a little bit of a struggle, and will be for several years, I'm sure.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Cynthia Isherwood.
She's muted.
Cynthia, you're muted. You have to hit the microphone button.
Okay.
There you go.
Am I okay now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. All right, Cindy Isherwood, lived in Tiverton all my life. This is totally new, so I'm looking forward to helping everybody and working with everybody for the budget.
Thank you, Cynthia. Joe Schramm.
Hey guys, I'm happy to work with everyone, and I actually just moved to town probably back in September, so just kind of getting my feet wet, and I'm excited to work with everyone.
Well, I'll go next since Tom's not on. Welcome to all of the new budget committee members. I'm Sherry Ockery. This is my 3rd year on the budget committee. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot about the town. My husband and I moved into town probably about 11 years ago. I've really learned a lot. I mean, I got involved to try to do something and, support the town in some way. And I can't believe how much that I've learned in the last 3 years. I did do the job of secretary the first couple of years on the committee. And this year we thought we would have a secretary appointed, but we will not. So we will be needing to try to find some volunteers for things like that. But it's been really a good learning experience for me. I've learned a lot just being on the budget committee, and it helps, I think, when you join a committee that's local to the town, to be able to understand how things run. And it gives you a better understanding of how much time and effort a lot of the volunteers and elected officials spend, and most of these committees and the people that will come before us are not paid. They're all volunteers, and just like we are elected, but we are volunteers. And so it's really a nice thing to get to meet all of the people that put their time and effort into the town. So it's nice to meet all of you, and I look forward to working with you this year. Joan?
Okay. It comes time for the election of officers. I will start off first with the nominations for chair, and then I will turn it over to the chair to continue with the nominations for vice chair, docket secretary, and secretary. The vote will be a roll call vote because that's how you have to do it in Zoom. And a second is not required on nominations. So only the nomination is required, and however many there are. And but there is no second to that nomination. It's not required. So to start, it is now time for nominations are in order for the office of chairman. Do I have any nominations?
Madam Chair, I nominate John Edwards, Chair.
John Edwards. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Joe Souza.
Joe Souza. Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? And one last time, any more nominations for chair? Seeing no further nominations, I will call a roll call vote for the first name nominated. So all those in favor of John Edwards as chairman, please respond when your name is called. Sherry?
No.
John Edwards?
Yes.
Thor Ackery?
No.
Dave Perry?
Yes.
Mike Janik?
Yes.
Judy Jones?
No.
Dan Darren?
Aye, yes.
Cindy Isherwood?
No.
Joe Souza?
I'll say no.
No. Joe Schramm?
No.
Motion on that nomination fails, 6-4. 6 voting no, 4 voting yes. We go on to the next person nominated. That would be all those in favor of Joe Souza as chairman. Please respond when called. Sherry Ackrey,
Yes.
John Edwards,
No.
Laura Ackrey,
Yes.
Dave Perry,
No,
Oops, sorry.
Mike Janik. I think you're on mute.
No,
No. Judy Jones,
Yes.
Dan Darren,
No, nay.
Cindy Isherwood,
Yes.
Joe Souza,
I'll say yes.
and Joe Schramm.
Yes.
Nomination of Joe Souza to Chair of the Budget Committee passes, 6 yes and 4 no. I now will turn it over to you, Joe, to continue with the nominations for Vice Chair.
Thank you, John. Thanks for showing up. All right, say good evening and thank you. We'll move forward to nominations for Vice President.
I nominate John Edwards.
Okay, we have John Edwards. Is there any other nomination?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Joe Schramm.
Joe Schramm. All right, in the order received, we'll do a vote. I don't have the list of names in front of me.
You want me to go through it for you, Joe?
Do you have the pictures on the screen?
So
Oh, yeah.
not everybody, no. Geez, I wish I would have been provided with a list. I'm sorry. Well, I'll start off with Sherry Ackrey.
Yeah, for John Edwards first, no.
Thor Ackrey.
No.
I can't see anybody's names. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank here.
I'll help you out. Cynthia Isherwood.
This is for John Edwards, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
No.
Damn.
Dave Perry.
You're muted, Dave.
yes,
Judy Jones.
Aye, yes.
Okay.
Point of order, if I might. Is that a dachshund on Joe Souza's couch?
It's a dog. Judy Jones.
Chihuahua.
This
No.
is a vote. Okay. Joe Souza.
I'll say no.
Mike Janik.
yes,
Joe Schramm.
No.
Did I get Dan Darren already?
You did, yes, aye.
He who was nominated? Yes, I'm a yes.
Oh, yep. Sorry, John. Okay. So the vote fails the same. It's 6. It fails 6-4. Okay, Joe, the next one is for Joe Schramm. All right, I'm a yes. Thor Ackrey,
Yes.
John Edwards,
No.
Dave Perry,
nope,
Mike Janik,
no,
Judy Jones,
Yes.
Dan Darren,
No, nay.
Cynthia Isherwood,
Yes.
Joe Souza,
I'm a yes.
and Joe Schramm.
Yes.
Okay, Joe Schramm is the new vice chair. And that is 6-4.
Move forward to nominations for secretary, if anybody is interested.
Do we have any volunteers? Anybody that is interested in being secretary? We normally ask if anybody's interested before we do this, unless any of you have nominations.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to nominate Sherry Ackery since she's done it before.
Okay.
I'll nominate Mike Janik, since his wife did such a great job.
Thor, I appreciate it, but I respectfully am going to decline the nomination.
Okay.
Who's a better candidate at this point? Nice try, though.
Okay. Let's do it.
meeting. Yes.
Thanks a lot, John. John Edward, you want me to go through the list? All right. I'm gonna
Mr.
vote
Chair,
no.
I'll make a
Oh.
motion for unanimous consent.
Okay.
Second.
Then we don't need to vote. Or correct, that confirms it. Want to call the roll still?
Sure.
I believe we need to, just for the record.
Okay. Dan Darren,
Aye.
John Edwards,
Yes.
Sherry Ockery, yes, Thor Ockery,
Yes.
Cynthia Isherwood,
Yes.
Dave Perry,
Yes.
Judy Jones,
Yes,
Tom Haley's not here still, I think. Joe Souza. Joe Souza. Uh-oh, he might be frozen.
Looks like he's frozen.
Yeah, he's been doing that a lot. Okay, Mike Janik.
That's a resounding yes for you, Sherry.
Thank you. Joe Schramm.
Oh, yes.
Thanks. Dang. All right. Let's see.
I just lost my internet again.
Yeah, well,
Coming in and out.
I'm okay. I'm secretary.
I think you missed Dan. Dan, did you vote on that?
Yes, I was an aye, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if I might, point of order, if Joe's there, if he just looks at the bottom of his screen, the fourth icon over from the left is participant list, if that would be helpful to him.
I don't see that. It is.
On the bottom of the screen, it says participants.
Okay. If I can stay here. All right, on the agenda. This discussion for, let me first just say that, I've served on a few budget committees and watched quite a few, and I've seen sometimes where they were efficient, sometimes where time was wasted, I believe. In order to cut down on the number of meetings, I think if we're a little bit more efficient, in other words, starting off with resolves, items that are non-negotiable, budgets, fixed costs, things like that. I think we should immediately get to those items, do the votes, and get it over with. We don't need to wait until the end to do final votes on things like bond payments. I mean, they're fixed. So we can get some of those final votes out of the way in the early meetings while we're still waiting for departments to report to us. Hoping this year we can break up into small groups and each group take on a portion of the budget. I think we've got some talent here that can look at the different departments if we can work like that and break the work down into break it down in each small group, take on that portion and then recommend to the committee your findings. And, I think that would move it along a little bit easier. It would also help to build some teams. I hope we can mix together. We just saw a 6-4 vote. And I guess, it might be able to mix it together and come up with a little better consensus in the end. Maybe we can come up with a budget we agree maybe 90% on. As far as for the town administrator, I would appreciate if we can get, rather than just getting PDFs, I'd really like to get everything in writing this year. It's difficult for me to go through the computer and be on Zoom at the same time and then have to try to change back and forth. So I'm hoping everything can be in paper for me this year and as much backup as possible. I mean, if there's things that are immediate that come out to us, yeah, it's fine to get in emails, but I'd like to get as much paperwork as possible, if that's okay.
See what we can do for you.
Yeah, well, I know we usually get a booklet, but it's hard for me to work off of the computer and beyond. I found that out over the last year I have a difficult enough time with my computer service.
Point of order. Do you have a smartphone, Joe? You could use a smartphone for the Zoom and your computer.
Yeah, I don't have a smartphone. I'm a flip phone guy, but I have just Cox cable and my laptop. That's it.
God bless us, Cox, one and all. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we had talked about, appointing people to different, I don't think we need to really break down into subcommittee into that level where, I think if we just agree amongst ourselves, I'd like everybody to just look at the budget and the audit and the expense report.
It's gonna be a long year.
Yep.
Excuse me, Tom Haley, I believe, is called in, and we did skip docket secretary, which I think we kind of skipped because Tom Haley has been doing our docket every year. He has all of the information, and so we've just he's done a great job of just updating it as we go and then sharing it on screen as we go. So since
This is Tom. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm on.
Okay. So did we want to, since we missed that vote, can we go back to?
I didn't know that was a vote. I thought that was.
Well, I don't know. We've argued over that every year, whether it needs to be a vote or not. Joan, I don't know if anybody or John Edwards
knows. A
knows.
volunteer position.
Is it? Okay. Well, that's fine if you just want to leave it as that Tom Haley, and then Thor.
This is kind of where I was going with breaking down into small. I mean, I guess I just assumed that Tom would again this year work on, putting the budget docket together.
Yeah, I will. And Thor expressed some interest too, so I'll work with him on that.
Is there anybody in the group that is capable of looking at the audit and expense reports and maybe, digging into that and see? The reason I ask is in the past, we found that we appropriated money for things that weren't even being, I think it was last one I remember, I think it was summer swimming Red Cross swimming program.
Mr. Chair, just to make sure we're on the same page for Open Meetings Act, we got to stick to the agenda.
You gotta get them unfrozen first.
Again.
That was one thing John just mentioned that I was going to mention, was that we have to stick to the agenda, and Jeannie and V had expressed that we really, you can't now talk about anything that is not specifically mentioned on the agenda. So, well,
the thing is about an agenda is, and yes, you can't speak about things, you can't vote on anything that's not on the agenda. So let's not get so strict that you can't have a discussion about things at a budget committee and perhaps stray into other areas. It might help people to understand where you're coming from. So the point is, you can't vote on things that aren't on the agenda. That's the main point of that.
Okay, just passing on what I was told.
Yeah, I know, but I've been to a lot of the seminars where I listen to the solicitor explain, and it's always been, and in some cases, like on the council, they'll vote to put it on the agenda, but you can't. So, I mean, at any point, we could vote to put something on the agenda, but you can't make a vote to approve anything. That's when you have to.
Could you please ask the town solicitor that, because the only one that can add to an agenda is the school committee.
Point of order.
The open meetings laws have changed repeatedly over the years, and it's my understanding the only thing you can add is by a school committee, and it has to be of an emergent nature.
To vote on it.
No, to add to an agenda for discussion.
Point of order, if I might. One would presume that open meeting laws preclude such, and I'd be concerned about going down what corporate people call a rat hole and going on forever, but that's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
Well, my only point was, I guess, to break down it, what we were talking, discussion of the fiscal year budget and how we'll handle the, so that was my thought, is if we can break it out into teams. I think we've, if anybody else wants to talk, I'd like to open the floor now. If you have any ideas, it would help.
We actually are on, so we're on number 5. So for the key dates for the budget process, Joe. So if you want, before we get to that part, which I think could come under the appointment of committee liaisons for town departments, and if anybody wants to talk about that, but I had emailed everybody. I don't know if you got it in time because we don't have our binders this year. I had emailed everybody the only thing that I had, which is what's required out of the charter of the budget committee and duties, because we do have a lot of new members that, you know, are not familiar with the dates and things like that, which I don't even have. I mean, I have a list of the old dates that things are due, and I don't know. Those are pretty much set, you know, according to the calendar. So I don't know. Did you guys want me to go ahead and read what, so everybody can follow along? Did everybody get the email with the charter information today?
I received the email, but I never received an agenda.
Oh, you didn't receive an agenda, Dave? Okay. I have your email, Dave, and I'll verify that with you to make sure that you're getting everything, because I did send the agendas out to everybody that I had emails for. Okay, we'll make sure we get all of that straight. So I'm going to go forward and read the duties and the responsibilities of the budget committee. If you want to follow along, the composition it's 11 members. The elections and vacancies kind of is self-explanatory. And then we get to section 703, the duties and the responsibilities of the budget committee. One is to participate in the initial budget workshop, which we are doing, to review the budget submitted by the town administrator and the school department, in which review the committee shall consider both the supporting evidence for each requested budget expenditure and the ability of the town to support the level of service recommended. So we will be having our joint meeting after this with the town council and the school department, where we kind of just introduce ourselves and talk about what's upcoming. But all the committees come before the budget committee to submit their budgets. And we have specific dates that everybody's budgets are due, the municipal budget, the school budget, which once we get our binders, you'll be able to see the dates that they're due. To provide the electorate with budget recommendations which balance the value of the proposed goods and services with their costs and taxes, and to develop a docket including both resolutions of its own, A, and B, the preceding year's approved budget. The budget requests of the town administrator, town clerk, town treasurer, and the school department for the coming year, the budget committee's recommendations, and a budget proposal. And then to prepare and submit the docket for publication to the town clerk in accordance with section 301A of this charter. To present the docket to the electorate at the financial town hearing. So at the end, we make our budget and then we have a hearing where the public is invited to come ask questions on the budget that we present. And if remanded to the budget committee, determine docket line items in accordance with said petition originator's budget proposal. So again, we'll all get a binder that has all of the key dates because we have specific dates that everything is due by, the budgets that get turned into us and what we have to submit ultimately.
I think it was mid-March before we get final documents from the town and the school.
Well, I have the actual
63
dates.
days before the FTR.
Right. So that's why I was saying I have a list of the dates, but it was from my last book. So the dates I'm not sure if the dates are exact. So once we get our binders, then we can actually look at the dates. But there's so basically what Joe's talking about is usually somewhere around January 15th, the town clerk prepares and submits a preliminary budget to the budget committee. The town treasurer also prepares and submits her preliminary budget to us. The school committee also prepares a preliminary budget and submits it to us. Town council submits a revenue estimate to the town administrator, usually somewhere around March 6th. And that's why I said I don't know exactly. That's why I did not send that out because I don't know if these dates changed or anything like that based on COVID. But we have, I don't know if you can see, but when you get your binder, we basically have a specific amount of days before the FTR where everything is, in succession that we have to receive certain things in order. So if anybody has any questions, I think once we get our binders and everybody's able to look over them a little more, you may have more questions. But for those of you that have been on the committee before, I'm sure you understand, but I don't know if there's anything else, somebody else that's been on the budget committee before wants to say that helps.
I lost you for the fourth time.
The next thing on the agenda is discussion of Thursday regular meeting time for all future meetings for the budget cycle. Chris Cotta did make up a Zoom list and put them at 7 p.m. because that's the time we normally meet.
Yeah.
But we did last year move it up to 6 p.m.
Those can be changed.
So, I mean, I guess we could ask each one of you one at a time, which if you prefer to keep it at 7 or if you want to do it earlier at 6. I know some people work and may not be able to make it by 6. John, do you have a preference?
I do. Thank you. My preference would be to remain at 7.
Okay.
Partly because of work, but more so because, between 6 and 7 is bedtime for my 2 little children. So
Okay.
it'd be nice to assist my wife with that.
Yep. So, Dave Perry, any preference, 6 or 7?
Yeah, 7 would be fine with me. But every second Thursday of the month, I have my own Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Well, I'll be late at this meeting.
Okay. Mike, preference, 6 or 7?
I'm gonna go along with 7 p.m. only because it could become a work challenge for me to be there for 6 p.m.
Judy?
7 is fine with me.
Okay. I'm asking everybody, but it sounds like 7's a consensus. So is that okay with everybody? 7 p.m. We'll stick with 7.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
We're at what, appointment? Committee
And
liaison.
the Zoom meetings will start like 15 minutes earlier, just so you have time to get logged in and get settled in. You can
Okay.
blank your screen and mute yourself and walk away, but at least you have an opportunity to get in before, trying to rush at 7.
What point of inquiry? That's every 2 weeks,
Every week.
Every Thursday.
every Thursday. Okay, thank you.
I might add, if we do it correctly, we'll be busy for those weeks because while we're waiting, we can knock out the stuff that we don't need to really think a lot about. So I'm hoping we can move along that quickly and the resolves can take a look at those and get those out of the way. All right, so we're at, we ready to move to appointment for committee?
Yeah.
liaisons? This is pretty much what I had brought out earlier, looking for, not sure we need to do appointments, but I'd like every,
Well, I was just gonna make a list of if
Yeah,
anybody had
well-
specific departments they were interested in at least.
thought was, well, if anybody knows, a portion of the budget, first I'd like to ask if, is there consensus that the members of the budget committee would like to take that suggestion and break the budget up? Any thoughts?
Point of inquiry, could you restate the motion or the thought, if you would, please?
Well, the idea was to take the budget, break it into departments, and have members that would be interested in those departments review their budgets, and then come back and make a recommendation to the full body.
Okay, thank you. And there was an allusion to appointments as at the beginning of this section? Or did I mishear that?
No, it looks like Joe is frozen again. I put appointment, but I think normally we do site visits. And so we normally, when we're not in COVID, the entire team goes around and looks at the buildings, and the departments give us a tour and tell us what's going on, and we get to see everything. And I think Mike Dakotas had made the suggestion last year, and this, I think Joe just may want to do it a little bit differently, where instead of just, but it's kind of like that, instead of all of us going or talking, we basically be split into groups where we would get in touch with that department head. I think, is that what you're saying, Joe? And talk to the department head and kind of work with them and then report back. Is he frozen again?
I think so.
Okay, there you go, Joe. Okay.
The sun, it's got to get better. As soon as the sun disappears over the horizon, I'd like to hear from other members on the committee. Do you feel as though this is a good way to go? Do you want us, or do you want to do as like we saw in the past where we all went over everything and debated for hours?
Point of information, Darren, would it make sense to have separate committees for each that could report back, and even if they're committees of one or two, a more formal organization, if you will?
Well, I think you get into a problem when you start appointing subcommittees, I think, with minutes and things, so. Formally, we break up in all groups. And people that may have interest, say, in public works, because like I know John worked on the landfill, maybe he's interested in staying, looking with public works things. I mean, that was my point. I thought it would help to move the process along a little bit quicker than sitting and looking, at the entire budget.
Okay, I appreciate that. Pardon me. I just would be concerned that we not get muddled up with things, that there would be kind of a clear mandate and a clear, responsibility, and that we not deviate terribly from that, so that if someone has a citizen has an interest in something that they're not approaching necessarily somebody else, it would seem to me to have some more structure and some more accountability, but that's my own thought.
Well, again, I'm asking the rest of the committee. I mean, are there any other thoughts on this?
John Edwards has his hand up.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Trying to be respectful, so I don't want to blurt things out.
I actually can't see you when you're
Oh, okay.
just
That,
yell.
that explains it. I knew you wouldn't forget me, Joe. My thoughts on this, and again, I think we as a budget committee it's incumbent upon all of us to understand the entirety of the budget before we make our recommendations. I personally am uncomfortable with, handing by proxy over to a couple members, ultimate decisions when as it relates to the budget. And from experience, again, I haven't had experience on this specific budget committee, but I have gone through at least the municipal side ad nauseum in my time on the council. And you can get through that in 2 or 3 meetings, really, if you move expeditiously. My personal opinion on the budget is that the issues we have as it relates to creating the budget in this town is not so much what the final number is, it's in the presentation that goes forward to the community. So that is an area where I think we should spend some time. But, splitting into small groups to go on field trips to the various departments, to me, doesn't feel like an acceptable use of our time.
At all, actually. And I didn't want you not to look at the whole budget. My thought was, though, that we break up into smaller groups. People have, for instance, like I said, you had worked on the landfill issue. You looked at maybe you want to work on the public works budget. The other efficiencies, look at the needs. I'm not saying that everybody shouldn't look at the whole budget and understand the whole budget. I'm saying that people in specific budgets are more apt to find things. I mean, if I go to the schools, I don't know how to run a school, but perhaps Mr. Janik, I don't know his background. I don't know a lot of your backgrounds, but if we have some people that have backgrounds in education, perhaps they're good for looking at the school. So, but in the end, we're all going to come together and hear what you have to say, and we're still going to have our own opinion. We're going to make the final votes. But like I said, if you don't want to participate in that, that's fine. I mean, we can sit down and we can go through every item in the budget, and debate it. And so I'm going to leave this up to what the committee wants to do. I only threw the suggestion out. If the majority of the committee doesn't want to do that, we'll do however the majority of the committee wants to do it. So,
Chris wants to speak, Joe.
anybody, just please, I can't see anybody other than 3 people, and one of them is Joan. Please speak up.
So I have a question about your conceptual proposal. So if there was subcommittees that were coming back, making recommendations to the full committee, would they be voting on, as a subcommittee, what it is they're going to be bringing back to the full committee? And it
No.
matters because it's an open meetings issue. And if they're meeting off-site, if they're not meeting on Thursdays as your regular schedule, we have to schedule those particular meetings. And
That's
those
why I
votes,
wasn't meeting with
and those votes would need to be done on YouTube Live at the same time. You cannot have an open meeting without YouTube living it. You can have workshops where you're not taking any votes. So there is some logistical issues as to why I'm asking.
Well, first, it would be less than a quorum. It would be 2 or 3, maybe.
If they're voting, it still has to be.
I didn't say they were going to vote. I said,
If I might, even if we don't call them subcommittees, even if they're groups of 1 or 2, could we possibly designate one person as the lead that has the responsibility? So we've got a clear communications, one person to whom we go to, one person who speaks for that group, so that responsibilities don't get muddled. And Rose Kennedy said, after you have the first 2 children, if you have 3, all of a sudden you got different alliances and things. I just like to make sure that the lines of reporting responsibility and communication are clear. So that would be my thought. Thank you, Larry.
can you hear me now? Because I don't know if you heard what I said. My point was that if there are people that have differing opinions, when they're reporting back to the committee, they should be able to voice their separate opinions so that combined we get the full story. Because the only way I find you get the full story is if you heard both opposing views. So somewhere in the middle is always the truth. So that's why I thought that process worked well, that they basically report back what they learned to the committee. They don't take a vote and have a consensus to what they're going to say to the committee. Each member that participates on that budget item reports back to the committee. Then you can have, like I said, a consensus and we can vote on it. But this is all about information. It's not about subcommittees and voting, and it's just to bring information to the committee. And it's just small groups. It's not a quorum. So again, maybe it's just something we want to leave for the next meeting. Just people can think about it, members can think about it, and then we'll talk about it again. We'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. And people can think what part of the budget they'd like to specifically look at. Not that I don't want you to look at the entire budget. I want you to look at the audit, expense reports, transfers, and all the information available to us. But if there are areas in the budget that you specifically can help us with, that's what I want you to look at. That's as simple as I can put it.
Joe, can I address the chair?
Yes, please.
Can we move this to a vote right now?
We don't need to vote on it. It was just a discussion about, so it was just no vote.
Well,
Well, why don't you go around and ask opinions?
yeah, because we didn't really put it on the agenda, but I've been asking for
But
everybody.
let's not discuss it.
I've been asking for everybody's opinion for 5 minutes. I don't know if you can hear me, so there's your chance. Just
Oh, I
give me-
can be allowed to totally against what you want to do. I think we should all participate in the budget process as it is and not split up into individually little groups and going around and talking to different. They come to us, they can speak to us right there. It's the way it's been done for years. It works fine. There's no need to change. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I never said to go by yourself and talk to department heads. That didn't come out of my mouth. I said to analyze the budget. For instance, take the budget, your section of the budget, compare it with the audit, see if the money we appropriated was actually spent or was it transferred to another account. Those are the type of things I'm looking for, to see if we're putting the money in the right places, funding it properly, so that the council doesn't have to make 100 transfers at the end of the year. I never said anything about small groups going and talking with department heads. I didn't.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do as a team, is to look at the budget and come up with what's best for the town.
Okay, well, all right, well, what I'll do then, because I'm saying this is as a volunteer basis, the members that feel like they would like to look at specific portions of the budget and concentrate on them, if you'd like to do that, then that's what I'll ask you to do. The members that don't want to do that, you just basically follow along at the meetings. I guess that's all I can say. If it's not a consensus, then, because it has to be everybody willing to want to work that way. So if it's not everybody, it's not going to work.
Joe,
Yes.
this is Mike. I think that the idea is has some value, but I think that we're going to get the same end result if we continue along the process that has been done over the years. And we all have the eyeballs on all those line items, and we take a look at where the money comes and goes from and to who, and we can then make the informed decisions. But if somebody has some particular expertise in an area, they can offer their valuable input at that appropriate time. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Until you start getting into a lot of the paperwork where you're trying to compare expense reports and things. I mean, like I said, I thought it would help. If the majority of the budget committee doesn't want to go that way, I'm not gonna, dwell on it anymore. We'll follow the old time, go through each line item at a time and,
We've also had an incredible amount of turnover here on this committee. Speaking as one of the newbies, and maybe because of me being the final appointment, I'm the junior person, but I don't know exactly every line item in the budget. And I'm hoping to see the last 2 years in an Excel spreadsheet. I work well with Excel and I can manipulate that readily. That would give me a good starting point to then look at what the proposals are when they come in, to be able to help us put together a budget we can all live with.
Anybody else?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
My only thought was, how do I put this nicely? I've observed, for what it's worth, say town council meetings in the past few years that have sort of devolved into free-for-alls, and certainly I'm not saying that that's what Joe has in mind. I'm sure he has in mind the thought that to make things better and to have everyone have their input and special expertise and special interest accommodated. My only concern is that my personal opinion would be to keep things as structured, accountable, and organized as possible with clear lines of responsibility. And it would seem to me it would prevent people from, I don't want people, no one would do this, but certainly I wouldn't want to be off freelancing, if you will, kind of thing. So I'll speak only for myself. And that's my thought, such as it is. Thank you.
The only thing I was going to say is I think we just need to make sure, because the new members are not getting a chance to go around and see, and because of COVID, it probably isn't possible anyway, that whoever, when you and the vice chair set up meetings with the department heads, that we make sure we ask them if there's anything specific that we need to see pictures of and stuff, that we're not having to call them back in, and that we are managing our time wisely and making sure they bring anything like that we would normally do on site visits to their presentation. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I think for site visits, we can't all go at the same time, but we certainly could have it spread out through the day. Maybe a group go in the morning, another group go at noon, another group go in the afternoon. I know that, department head would have to be there a little longer, but by spreading out, by the smaller number could visit. If everybody wanted to go to DPW, I mean, it could be arranged. We just can't all go at the same time. So, we gotta think outside the box here. I honestly wish we could meet in person, say at the high school or something, but I don't know if that could happen. I think we're stuck on Zoom for a few more months here, perhaps for this season. Well, the only thing left is adjournment then. Motion
to adjourn.
Second,
Who seconded?
I did. I won't be on the next meeting. I have a 7 o'clock meeting that I already scheduled.
I probably won't either, so I may need a secretary cover.